Welcome to Red Stars Report, a podcast for fans of Chicago Stars FC and a community for everyone. I am your host, LT.
And I am back as the co-host, Liz.
Woo! Love
But
having
thank
you.
you for Joe for filling in. Shout out to
Yeah,
Joe.
Joe was great. I hope people enjoyed that episode. And if you don't know Joe, I hope that you got to know a little bit more about him and go follow his coverage because he does great coverage of this team as well. So this week, the Chicago Stars lost against Washington Spirit 3-2 at home. But it wasn't all bad. I don't think that score line really tells the whole story, but I do want to start though by saying congratulations to Mallory Swanson and her husband Dansby after announcing that they are expecting their first child. And now we know the reason why Mal is not with the team.
Yes, finally, and I'm glad that she and her family got to tell the world on their own terms what was happening and when she felt comfortable. That's the thing. Just because everybody wants to know, it's when somebody's pregnant, especially with their first child, it's always you never know what's going on, and some people are very nervous about when to share the news. And so I'm glad that she feels comfortable enough at this point to share, and I'm excited. That kid is getting born into a wonderful family, and probably going to be very athletic, one would
Yeah.
assume. Maybe not, who knows? But yeah, I'm just excited that we know, and now we know that she will not be returning this year, which is important, I guess, in the world of if we need to sign somebody, which I think that that would be a probably yes to fill that void because Ludmila can't do it really on her own with Jamise. I mean, we need somebody else. But anyway, yeah, excited for Mal and Dansby. Loved it, loved all of it, and I'm so glad and happy for them. And it's so great because there were so many like rumors that it was something bad, and that's why I don't feed into the rumor mill as much as I try not to.
That's why we don't talk about it
Yeah,
or
that's why we
theorize about
that's
it.
why
You
we
leave it alone
never.
until you get the answers.
Yeah, that's why we didn't talk about it here. We just wished her the best, and yeah, and so I'm happy for them, and now we can everybody can move on from that, let her leave her be, because that's the other thing. Like stop digging into her socials and trying to figure out what's going on. Just happy for her. And then she was at the game, which was also
Yeah,
super
that
fun.
was nice to see. Now that, the information's out there, she was able to make a public appearance at the Stars match, and it was nice to see her up in that box, doing well. So, and now, like you said, the questions of her absence can be laid to rest. People can get out of my DMs and comments on unrelated posts asking about her. So I'm
Every time.
happy about that too. Hey,
I
look
mean,
at
if the
this! Look at
people
this great goal that's scored. Where's Mal?
Where's Mel? My whole thing is the people that she was sitting by up there, they can come on down to the field sometime soon when
Oh,
they get healthy.
sure.
Because I was
That would
like,
be nice.
hey, Jenna Bike, hey, Kuika, can you come play? Please get healthy. But I'm just
Yeah.
glad that she was there. That's a good sign. It's I guess it's nice to see that yes, she's pregnant, but she's also staying in touch with the team. Like she's there, she's making her presence known type of thing. Because sometimes when people get pregnant, there's the question of are they going to come back? Which I'm not starting that conversation right now. I'm just saying it's nice that she's still staying involved with the team and coming to games. That was really nice to see.
Yeah, definitely. Now on to the match itself. We saw the same lineup that we've had the last several matches. I don't expect much to change there in the coming weeks. I would like to see Hannah again at some point. That would
Not
be
even going to talk
nice.
about it. Not even going
Um,
to.
I think maybe like swapping like Allie or even Mies just out for like a match, just to see some different players up there.
I
Because I
thought you were
think
saying Hannah. I thought you were saying to swap
no, no,
Hannah
no, no,
in
no,
up
no,
there. And
no.
I was
I'm
like,
saying like what
whoa.
changes with the
Yeah.
lineup could be made. Obviously, those are two very good players that you would want starting, but just kind of like the way that things are kind of going. I think like their energy could be used maybe later. Mies was very good off the bench last season. Not that I we have like incredibly like super talented star players that we could replace her with currently. So like I don't know. I like this is the 11 that we're sitting with, and I think that's just kind of how it's gonna go. I think I do need, like you mentioned, Jenna to sort of come back because we really need that energy off the bench that we really haven't been getting a whole lot of the time with this club. But yeah, starting 11 the same, but things did sort of look a little different this match.
A lot better, just across the board, just more. They're playing more as a unit, I guess, is what it looks like to me. It felt like in the first few games of the season, they were so like playing individually is what it felt like. And now in these last two games, it's felt like they're playing together, that there's a plan, that there's something that they're working towards, some sort of game plan and strategy that they're working towards. And it's really nice to see. I just I also would like to say that Julia Grosso with this coaching change, totally different player. Totally different player. Completely different. It's the Julia Grosso that you see for Canada.
Yeah,
And I am standing by. I believe when we were doing our preseason predictions, I said that she was going to be the assist leader. I am very strongly thinking that I might be correct in this
even though
by
she
the end of
has
the
zero.
season. I still am I based on what
Maybe
I
she'll
am
be our goal leader. Who
based
knows?
on what I'm seeing, I think that she's going to have several assists by the end of the season.
Okay.
don't don't cut this later when she doesn't do that. But
Um,
I feel really good with how she's playing and passing. It just there's some players that you can just see based on this coaching change that they're just blossoming. Like you can see that things are changing and that whatever changes that he's made, very small changes, are affecting things in a good way.
yeah, I felt like the players were kind of moving with a lot more freedom as well. When I spoke to Julia and Cam post match, Julia was talking about how the front four specifically um, were like sort of roaming and not so like centralized on like you're the nine, you're the seven. Like they were just playing with a lot more freedom. And then she also mentioned that the interim head coach Mac Hemi is emphasizing patience on and off the ball across all the lines, but specifically like in the final third, knowing like when the right time to go is, when the right time to hold up is, and I think that's showing a lot more in their movement forward because a lot of the time, prior to the coaching change, we just saw a lot of just like trying to jam the ball. Like it's like, oh, we have the ball. Let's just push it as quickly as possible. And I think with this uh, new look, it seems to be more like, okay, we have the ball. Now let's think about what we should do with it instead of
Yes.
just jamming it through the lines and or over the lines and just trying um, to run on goal. Like, not that we saw that a lot anyway. Um, we see a lot more generative offense since the coaching change as well, and that's nice to see. And obviously, a lot of it comes from a player like Julia Grosso gets her first goal as a star, and in the NWSL in general, finally, gets on the board after a lot of time without any goal contributions and she had four shots on the day. I think three were on goal. So that's great to see. And through those three shots on goal were three of Chicago's four shots on goal. So a lot from Julia Grosso in this match.
Yeah, just very such a great game. I thought her passing was very solid. That shot, I thought she was going to pass it, and I think everybody in the place thought she was going to pass it too because
She
we
likes
don't.
cutting inside and
Yeah,
hitting it with her left foot.
but
It's
she just
very
doesn't
Julia of her.
shoot. But she doesn't shoot. Like I feel like in
Not
Chicago, she
before,
just
no.
doesn't shoot. And so I was like,
But
well,
how often have
I
you
was
seen her
so
in the
unexpected.
box?
Not very often.
Not
That's
very
why I was like,
often.
it was so unexpected. I was watching at home, but it was so unexpected. I like jumped out of my seat, and I'm not even kidding. I was watching the game at my parents' house, and I jumped out of my seat and like ran towards the TV, and my dad's like, "What?" And I'm like, we just did a thing that's never happened yet with the player. And I was trying to like explain it to him. And so it
Yeah.
was really funny. But yeah, my other thing that I really like about that goal is we Ali Schlegel had just scored an own goal in the 31st minute, and Julia Grosso scores in the 36th minute.
Hmm.
My favorite thing is we didn't hang our heads. We didn't like like play back and like drop back and do that. We went after it. We went after it for most of the game. And the fact that she shot it, I don't know. I can't say enough about their performance in this game. Yes, it was a loss. I agree with you. So much
Yeah.
better. I love the fight that I saw. I loved the not hanging of heads when things didn't go their way. And yeah, Julia Grosso she honestly should have had a hat trick. The shots
Yeah.
that she had,
They were great.
they were very good
She
opportunities.
should have finished that one
Yes.
that she had right in front of the goal that
Yes.
Kingsbury had to stick her foot out to stop. Like if just a little bit more elevation on that shot, and that would have
Mhm.
just been buried. And I'm certain she's kicking herself about that one. Um, the other one, maybe not the highest of like XGs, but certainly better shots than we've seen anybody take this season, outside of like Ludmila's goals, and then a couple from like Mies and Ali here and there that were stopped.
Yeah, just I was just really impressed by her aggressiveness. We have not seen that this season or since she's come to Chicago. And I just loved it. She was getting higher up the field. She was getting into the box, as you said. That is what I expected when we signed her. And yes, it was a loss, but I will take what I've seen from Julia Grosso the last two games. And if this just progressively gets better and better, I'm I am in. I don't I like I will take this progression even in a loss because it just means that we are getting closer to what we thought we were going to have from a player of that caliber, and you know that eventually she's going to put those opportunities away. She put one up away, you know that she's going to work on that, and she's going to I think we're going to see more goals and, as I said, some more assists because she is a fantastic passer.
Yeah, I think that like what you said is kind of what like slightly worries me about this season. Like I'm sure all the players, coaching staff, everything is like this season is still get to the playoffs,
Yes.
win. Like that's what they want. But it does detract from seeing that kind of development from younger players who are sitting on the bench or not dressing. And I when you see the kind of improvement that a player like Julia Grosso, who hasn't had a ton of minutes in this league, she's only been here for like barely a full season if you add up all the matches that she's played. And when you look at players like MJ, a 17-year-old gets what 5 minutes this match, and it's like it like this kind of style that they're sort of trying to form into. Like I would like to see the players that we know are going to be here next year and the year after and the year after. Like I want to see those players have this kind of development as well. But I understand the um, obviously the mindset's going to be let's play to win everything and win the playoffs and blah blah blah. Like that's
Win a
sports. Like you
championship.
want to win. So
Well, because Alyssa's not getting any younger.
yeah,
That's the main thing. Like we all know that. And I think that's where it's like you're kind of stuck because you want to develop the young players, but you also know that Alyssa, we don't know how much longer she's going to play. If she has a 1 year, she's
right.
on a 1 year deal. So you don't want to not make the playoffs in what could possibly be, again, no idea if this is Alyssa's last season in Chicago. We don't know. So you want to push for the playoffs, and they're very much still in it. If they can figure this
Well, this
out,
that's because the way the league
yeah,
is.
the league is insane right now. So who knows? Like anything can happen, but I am liking what I'm seeing, and I
Because
think that
Julia
if
is one of those young players. Like
yes,
she's what,
absolutely.
24,
Yeah, I
23?
think
Like she's very young.
yeah, she's young and she is learning the league. The league takes a long time to adapt into, and you I don't know. When you look at who scored goals in this game, people would have been like, yeah, right. For
Oh,
Chicago, they would have
sure.
been like, yeah, right.
Yeah, after Ludmila's and Misa's goals earlier in the season, and you're like, okay, so Chicago does score two against Washington, and then people were like, oh, so like Ludmila and Mies, maybe Allie, like got on the board. It's like, no, Julia Grosso and Sam Stuff. Like, I
Right?
guess that kind of is sort of telling with like how the offense is still going. Like obviously Julia's playing in like a forward position, like more forward than we're used to seeing her, like with Canada or when she played in Italy. It's like so technically she is like one of the forwards. But like Sam Staub scoring is just that's just the opposite of what we expected
It
to
made my heart so
develop.
happy. It made
Yeah.
my heart so happy. The celebration, the look on her face,
I
the
need to
whole
make a gif
thing.
of that.
I loved it. And again, unexpected. Like Staub has scored goals in her past. Like,
I think she
yes.
has one every year
Yeah, like something
of
like
the
that. Like
last 6 years or
it's not
something.
unexpected that she scored, like not majorly unexpected, but it's not ideal when our center back's scoring goals for us and like but I loved it. She was in the right place at the right time. That's why you crashed the goal. I have no idea what Kingsbury was doing. That was absolutely bizarre. I have no idea. I when they showed the replay, I was again flabbergasted. And I'm going to say what my dad said because, again, I was watching that with my parents and he goes, well, what was she doing? I go, I don't know. Like,
I
I
don't
don't know.
know.
He's like, why didn't she grab the ball? I go, I don't know. Like, I don't
I'm
know what she was doing.
so like the best part about it was that the play was set up by Sam
Mhm.
herself. She gets the turnover in the midfield.
The run's insane.
Yeah, passes the ball on to Julia, I believe,
Mhm.
and then continues her run all the way into the box because she knows that someone is going to filter into her defensive position because that's what they want from her. They want her to find those spaces to move forward. And then Ludmila does a decent job at least getting something toward the keeper. And I think that the spin on the ball, like the way Ludmila sort of like lobbed it, I think Kingsbury was expecting it to bounce right to her, but it bounced like just a little
Yep.
further to her left than she expected. And then so she had to like slide a little bit and it bounced off her and right to Sam's feet. And there you go. There you have it.
That is why you crashed the goal. As when I coached middle school kids, I preached, preached and preached and preached. You crash the goal. I don't care what it is. You have no idea when the keeper is going to spill. And Sam Staub is like you look at that play and that's exactly why you do that at every single level because Kingsbury is a fantastic keeper. Fantastic. She makes that play 10 out of 10 times and I'm going to say 10 out of 10 because like
9.9999 out
all
of
the
10.
time you make that play and that is she's never going to do that again this season. Like that's not
Or
going
in
to
her
happen
career.
right ever again. Like that's never going to happen. And we saw two bizarre plays by keepers this game
Yeah.
anyway. Like so that happened and so but I just loved it. I loved the crash. I loved that it was Staub. Like
Yeah.
I was watching that and it's
Against a former
just
team.
and I said I was thinking that too. I'm like, oh yeah, she got it. She got one against Washington. It was so good. It made me smile. I'm smiling again because it made me so happy because she has been through so much.
Yeah.
And for her to come back as quickly as she did, and for her to get a goal, and like it made my heart really happy. And I can't say anything more about it because I love Sam Staub.
And goals make people happy.
They sure do. Everybody was very excited, and that tied the game back up.
Yeah,
So
that was huge.
yeah.
That was sort of uh the only like problem of the match. That was I mean like the sequences are were not like the most beautiful sequences of football you'll ever watch, but um the thing that's plagued Chicago for the better part of 3 or 4 seasons now is like defending set pieces, defending attacks on resets off of set pieces, and then own goals. And that sort of encompasses what happened with every goal in this match against them. Like the first one was, of course, the Ali Schlegel own goal. Just you know, was it like poor communication from Alyssa to get off of it? Was it, Alyssa just having confidence that Ali would be able to clear it away? Like I didn't hear anything from Alyssa like in that moment, so she probably just trusted her. And it's just a well taken ball that would just went poorly off of Ali's foot, and that was sort of a killer in the early ish um, part of the game. It feels early. It was not early. It felt early,
Yeah, 31st
like
minute. Yep.
31st. Yeah. Um, and so, but you're right about like it did annoy me that they did like come off of that right away, playing a little further back, but then they slowly like found their confidence again. And then that's what led to the Julia goal, and then, tied it up, uh, which is what you want to see when you concede. But yeah, own goal, unfortunate. That's their third own goal this season. So
Yeah, it's tough. That's the hardest thing to defend is when you're running back towards your goal in a ball like that, which is why you if people whip the ball into the box, you have no idea what's ever going to happen. That's why Chicago sometimes I'm like, we don't have to get cute with it sometimes. Sometimes just whip it in and see what happens. It could hit somebody in the arm, somebody could own goal. Like you have no idea. That's why sometimes I wish that we would stop trying to be so cute with it at times and just get the ball in the box because good things can happen just like that. Um, to me the most deflating thing was the second goal that Washington scored right before half in the 41st minute. It just felt like they had tied it with the Grosso goal and then right before like I was like, "Oh, let's just get into half and tied and then come out and see what we can do." And giving that up right before halftime was just yeah, Kouassi had a heck of a game. So
yeah, so I went back and I rewatched the match before we recorded, and what I saw on that play was Kawasi setting up um, on, I think that was a reset off of a set piece or something, but the player like because no one who like usually marks in that area was kind of in that area because it was Maitani and Cam that were in the area. Like Cam was playing way into the box, and Maitani was basically playing center back. And like one of them pointed at Kwasi to the other one and said, "Mark her." And then the other one turned around and pointed at Kwasi and said, "Mark her." And
so
then
communication.
the ball comes into the box. No one's marking her. I think B, like from the top of the box, saw that no one was marking her and tried to sprint into the box to stop it. To no luck. And so it looked like bad communication. Just like someone thought, like each player thought someone was marking her and nobody was marking her. And that has been a consistent problem with Chicago, is marking in the box. So, and you're right about that just being sort of deflating going into the half, because it was just like an immediate response to Julia's goal.
Yep. They always say the first 5 minutes after a goal is the most dangerous time, and we all learned that because Schlegel owned goals in the 31st, then Grosso scores in the next 5 minutes, and then Chicago gives up a goal 5 minutes later.
Yeah.
So
It's
rough. But yeah, my whole thing about the marking, I'm gonna try and make it positive. It's frustrating because I hate when players don't mark, but it's fixable things.
yeah.
They're absolutely fixable things. Communication is a fixable thing. They did not get outplayed in this game. They just made errors, their own errors, that lost this game. And that, to me, yes, it's negative, but it's actually, and I can see it as a positive. Because if you clean up those errors, you beat Washington. Now, did Washington make them commit some of those errors?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're a
But
good team.
marking is not. When you have players pointing at each other and saying the same thing and they both expect, like, that's just a communication breakdown. The Schlegel own goal, communication breakdown. they're things that are not, they're fixable, but they haven't been fixed in the last year, but now we have a new coach.
Yeah, I think I think Hemi in post match really emphasized um the heavy focus on the offense, and then he even sort of referred back to a question about like the amount of goals that they've been giving up late in matches, and said like maybe in training like our heavy focus on the offense has deterred us from some of our defensive focus, and we need to get back to that and be more balanced in creating like an overall performance on all aspects of the game. Um, so like it was nice to hear from the coach be like maybe our like super heavy focus on offense stopped us from um, being better on defense, which is also an area of focus that needs to be there. So that's good to hear that. And you're right, they're like totally fixable things. The only thing that I like find unfortunate is the fact that I think it was like it's 6 goals have been given up this season in the last 10 minutes or added time of a match. And then they've given up 3 own goals and 2 PKs. So like that's and those some of those like I think that PK in the Utah match, that one was in added time.
That was the 95th minute.
Yeah. I think at least one of those own goals was in like the last 10 or 15 minutes of a match. Like these breakdowns are happening too late
Hmm.
for this team, and they really need to fix that, because when they're not having those defensive breakdowns that seem to continue to always lead to goals, their defense is good. Like Washington got 2 shots on goal this game and both were scored.
Yeah.
Like what that tells me that Chicago is doing great until they're not. Like they're doing great for most of the match to not even let the team get a shot on goal. And then the only ones that they're letting on goal are from defensive breakdowns that Washington is capitalizing on, and Chicago on the other side is not always capitalizing on other teams' mistakes.
Yeah, that's where it's just tough because you won't want them like when they get really good opportunities, you really need Chicago to put them away. And that's where some of the opportunities that Grosso had, I was just like, man, you got a really good chance there. And that would have put Washington on their heels instead of Chicago just being okay with the tie. I would have taken a draw in this game, don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
But it's one of those things where it's like they could have won that game. Like if you look at how things went, absolutely could have been a winnable game for them, which I feel like you can say about a lot of games that they've had this year.
yeah, and it's not like we talked about. Like the offense did get better. It may not sound like a lot, but they did get 12 shots on near goal. They That is the most that they've had all season. They got 4 shots on goal, which is also the most they've had in the season. So they're getting opportunities now, whereas before they weren't getting opportunities. Um, and so now they just need to work on um, getting even more opportunities, because 12 shots still isn't a lot. I mean, Washington only got 9 shots.
Yeah.
Like
That's the thing. It's
they
like they're right
outshot them.
here. Yeah, they're right here. That's
Yeah.
they can compete with any team in the league. And that's why I'm so glad that maybe we can squash this narrative now that how they performed against Washington, how they've performed against Gotham, that they have the ability. It's just that they were not playing the right way. And now we're doing things that are putting players in better positions for them to perform how we know they should.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of getting Sam Staub further up the field because she is an offensive threat. We know that she's got a fantastic throw in. We know that she can be killer from set pieces. We know that she can score goals. Like, if you have the opportunity to push her forward at times, utilize it. They did. That's why I can't wait to have Kuika back because that's going to be another threat that we're going to have. Again, no timeline on that at this point, but it's things are looking up. I'm truly like I truly think things are looking up.
Yeah, Hemi even mentioned in the post match like Chicago's focus on what he called tilting the field to get Taylor Malum up much higher, but that allowed Sam to also get higher into those spaces just past the halfway mark to be able to put in those services that we saw, which looked very much like the Sam Staub services that we've been, saw for the most part of her career, and we're hoping to see uh, as she recovers and comes back from injury, because like what we saw today was a lot better version of Sam Staub um, than what we've seen offensively as she's made her return this season. Like the ball coming off of her foot was a lot more accurate, a lot more powerful, and that was great to see from her. Obviously, getting the goal, first multi-goal game at home at SeatGeek that the club has had since May 12th of last year.
That's
So
wild.
almost a full year since they've scored more than one goal at home.
That is a
And
wild stat.
yeah, it not a fun stat,
No, no.
but certainly a wild one. And like the shots that they were getting off, I thought were great shots. Like we talked about the Julia ones. My Tani had a great shot from the top of the box that just went off the woodwork.
I thought that was in. Oh man, I
So did
thought that
I.
was in. I thought it was in.
Uh, I will admit, I did miss the Sam Staub one. I was looking down, typing, and then I heard the screams, and I looked up,
Oh yeah, I was up out of my seat at
and I
home.
and I turned to Leslie Ryder from Gal Pal, who I noticed was also looking down, typing, and I said, were you looking down too?" She's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Great," but we both the journalists just missed
It was awesome.
the goal. I have when I watch um, from the press box, I have the broadcast on my phone, so I can watch replays and stuff. And so I saw it there, but I wish I would have been able to see it in
No, it was so
person.
fun.
Can't
I
believe I was
loved
looking
it.
away.
What I wanted was because they showed on Julia's goal, they showed Mal and Kuika and Jenna up in this box. I
Mhm.
wanted to see them for Sam's goal. They didn't show them they didn't put the camera up there. And I was like, oh,
Oh,
I wanted to see
gotcha.
everybody's reaction for Sam's goal. But
Yeah.
I love it. I don't know. It's just nice to see them score. Like that's the other thing. Like yeah, it's a loss, but it's nice to see them score and be doing things.
Yeah, I think a lot of the conversation about this team um, in the early part of the season has been one, they don't score goals. But the biggest problem is that they're just not, it's a sport. Like it's supposed to be entertainment, and they were not entertaining to watch. And it's like, here we are talking about a 3-2 loss. And like we're talking about it more positively than like a 1-0 loss that we had earlier in the season.
I thought you were about to say the win.
I mean, no, the win was, although I think we were a little negative on the win because they still played poorly in that match. So it's like, I mean, they weren't like, this is not like me talking about that they played like ecstatic offensive football.
it was better than what they've
It
done.
was more entertaining. It felt freer. It felt just like they were doing something. Like
Yes.
it didn't feel like what we talked about, just like the jamming the ball upfield or the just relentless, just kicking the ball over the top. Like they're like picking different moments to play different styles of soccer. And that's what you need. They have a little more variety in their attack, and it's not just the same thing over and over again. And so, even though you're watching a loss, you're watching it like that was an entertaining match of soccer to watch. And I think when you can watch a match like the one against Washington and you can see the positives and the growth from players as individuals, but also just like as collectives on different lines and as a full 11 player team, you just get more excited about watching it again rather than feeling like, you're just like, oh,
Here
I
we
don't
go
want to
again.
watch 2 hours of this boring soccer again. Like, I feel like a lot of people, I don't feel like I listened to a lot of people in our community talk about how frustrating it was to watch those early matches in the season because it was just not good soccer. And you can look at a score line and say, it wasn't a win, but if you watch all 90 minutes of that match, it was entertaining. And I think a lot of fans can appreciate that.
Yeah, there's so many nuances that you can see that they've kind of built into this in a very short amount of time, like things that they've changed up a little bit. Like we're talking about how Sam Staub is getting up the field. There was a moment in the game where Kerry Recaro was progressing the ball down the field and then players were dropping back. So we're having our center backs get more involved. Obviously, Kerry plays midfield as well at times, and she was getting the ball up the field and she moved it way down the field. Like she just kept going because they weren't stopping her. And I'm like, good, that is what we should be doing. I love when players do that. Don't stop until somebody stops you or you can get the ball down the field or whatever it may be. And I'm also loving what I'm seeing from Bogalski and Malum. I think that they have performed so well in the last few games. Cam Bogalski has been so fantastic. Yes, I know that there's been a few errors on marking and things,
Yeah, she had her
but
hands full with Kwasi.
yes, I think she had a really good game, but the the breakout player for me this season so far has been B. Franklin.
I
By
agree.
far. By far. I am so impressed with what she's done. Playing in the midfield is so challenging, especially when you are new to a league. Like we're talking about Julia Grosso, who has international experience, and she is learning to play in this league. This is B. Franklin's second year, and she is doing so well. And she didn't play a ton last year. Like she did play here and there, but I don't think she didn't consistently play. And to start the season, she was asked to play a totally different position this year. And now we're back to where she should be. And so it's just one of those things where I am loving what I'm seeing from her. And I cannot say enough about that, our last ever draft class, because they are just so good. And I love how B stepped into this struggling midfield and struggled last year, but is finding her stride this season and finding where she fits and making herself, she's solidifying her place in the starting lineup, I think.
Yeah, she played a lot in the latter half
Yeah.
of last season. And I think probably the most interesting um, aspect of it, it's like I don't know what to contribute it to entirely. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. But obviously, we saw in the beginning of the year them playing her at center back while Sam Staub got back to full 90 status. And then when she shifted back to the midfield, that's when you really saw her growth show. And it's like whether that was the off-season work or who she was paired with, I think is up for like I said, a combination of those two is probably the most likely. But it's just like the what Maitani has done um, to be able to give a lot of the players around her the freedom to do what they have to do, I think is like really needs to be commended because like you talk about Sam stepping up and Sam's confidence in B replacing her on that back line when she carries the ball forward. When Carrie got the ball in those moments, or even just trying to step up and defend someone to stop the movement of the ball up the middle. Like we saw Carrie do that, we saw Sam do that several times this match, and Maitani falls onto that back line to be able to stop the or to fill that hole. I think what the players talk about is the um, or I think I talked to Mac Hemi after the match about like just the players' ability to like feel more free to not be so restricted to their position on the field and just wherever they feel like they're needed, they can go. That can get you in trouble. Like those goals that were given up were from some players stepping forward and other players maybe not filling as well as they should have. But I would rather see that than see, you know, 8 players, 9 players drop into the box. I want to see the ball stopped up higher and other players fill the space that's left vacated rather than everyone just letting the ball progress into their half of the field. It's much more fun to watch a defense play like that than it is to just get pelted by shot after shot after shot every week.
Yeah, you're not giving yourself even a chance when you do that. And I feel like at least they're giving themselves a chance. And I think it's also, you talked about players filling in for each other and things like that when somebody vacates places. I think that they're building trust too. And I think that that's something we haven't seen. I feel like there was such a disconnect. I mentioned it at the beginning where it felt like everybody was playing individually on the field. It feels like there has been trust that's been built over the last few weeks. And players are now comfortable enough to say, okay, if I do this, I know this player is going to do this for me. Like there's that understanding that and trust that that's going to happen. And that's such a good sign.
Yeah, and I think like specifically like with my Tani and B, I think them as like those that like double pivot midfield, they work so well together because now, I mean, B doesn't have a whole lot of experience on the back line, but they both know what it's like to either be a veteran on the back line in Maitani or a player who knows the back line and the formation and style and communication that is required on the back line of the Stars. Like she's had Alyssa in her ear for multiple matches. And then so like the way those two sort of just work together in that midfield to prevent anything from going up the middle, which is why we see those overloads from teams going down the sides, which is why Cam and Taylor have to do so much work every match because you don't see the ball in the middle a lot because of those two. And it's why you saw them, shut down Astaire last week. It's why you like Ashley Hatch got on the ball mostly because she was getting into the midfield to try to call for it rather than where she should be getting it, which is like running through the middle and on different runs. But she was putting her back to the goal and receiving the ball that way, which it's just like you credit that to the midfielders and the center backs. They've been doing such a good job on the strikers of opposing teams. Now they just need to get better at defending those wings a lot more.
Yeah, I agree. It's just overall. So again, slight changes here and there, things, small things big, can make big changes, honestly, on the, what, for the product that you're seeing. And I mean, look at the possession numbers. Chicago's not getting dominated by possession. They're not winning the possession battle, but it's close.
Yeah,
And that's a good thing. Yeah.
47% possession. Not that possession's a stat that I
No, but I
really
think
care about, but
it shows.
the second half it was basically 50-50. I think it was like 49-51. Um, which just to me just tells me that they're just holding the ball a lot better. Not
Yeah.
necessarily that they're doing anything with it, um, but at least it's not the like you call it hot potato passing
Yes.
that we have seen for the better part of
That
two
is the only
years.
way that I can describe what they did at the beginning of the season. It's hot potato.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
I don't want it, so I'm just going to dump it off to whoever. And I think at times they still do that. And
yeah.
I
Hmm.
think that it's just a panic. And I think you're going to see that with younger players. But I'm hoping as the season goes on and people get more comfortable, and again, that trust is built of who's going to be where, then you're going to see more passing and higher pass accuracy. Still had a solid one at 73% as a team. It's better than what it's been. Uh,
Yeah,
but um, but yeah, I think you're gonna see that go higher as they get more comfortable. Um, I just I just think that I think yeah, my Tawny is impressive. B has been so good. I think that Julia Grosso moving higher up the field has been such a great thing. But my Tawny is allowing for all of those things to happen.
I agree.
Yeah.
And just like their play in the like switching the point of the attack as well has been so important. And even just the team looking to switch the point of attack, like instead of just driving the ball where it is, they're looking to be and looking to Maitani to be able to be those outlets in the middle to be able to get the ball all the way back over to Cam or all the way back over to Taylor. Um, didn't see a whole lot of that in the beginning of the season. It was just, you know, Taylor taking the ball down or Julia taking the ball down or Mies, like, and then just it would end up dying there or a turnover or something. Now it's like if there's nothing there, let's get it back over to the other side, which is why you see those possession numbers go up. Um, yeah, I think they still do need to get their passing accuracy a lot higher. But I think I think a lot of the lack of good passes in this match came from the fact that they were trying to get the ball into the attacking third a lot more. Um, and I think that just resulted in the ball being turned over a lot more. So we'll see how they sort of balance that out. I did think one stat that I thought was fun was that Alyssa was 30 for 30 in passes, mostly because she only did two long passes because Chicago was building out of the back this whole match, which was interesting to watch.
Here's my question. Um, Speaking of Alyssa. They obviously did not. They called the penalty kick on the field. They went for the foul that happened on B, I believe, at the very end of the game.
Mhm.
Then they went and reviewed it, and they
They
said
didn't
no penalty.
call it on the field.
Didn't they?
No, it was a
No,
no.
no, no. They
It
went
was a
to
no
review. Yeah,
call.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No call on the field. Then went back, reviewed it, went to the
Mhm.
video. I'm hearing Leanne in my ear saying that's a penalty. They're gonna call it a penalty. Blah blah blah. That's why I was thinking they called it on the field.
Yeah.
Um, who do you think was gonna take the penalty kick?
See, I said this in the press box. I was like, if they call this, I don't know who takes this. I have
Yeah.
no idea.
I'm curious.
Because we had discussions like this last year because like Mal took a couple and they didn't look good, and it was like now who's gonna take them? I think Allie buried one that was
And she would have been
great.
on the field, so
Yeah. Um, Julia's made an Olympic PK before. I
thank you.
only bring that up because I wanted to piss off Liz. Um, Ludmila was still out there, I believe.
Yes, and I don't
I
know
don't know what her
if
PK stats are.
I've seen MJ miss a PK, and I wouldn't want to put that on a
Oh yeah,
17-year-old.
that's
So,
true. A lot of teams have been putting PKs on rookie shoulders this season
yeah.
in the NWSL. It's really interesting to
You
watch.
know who I would have had take the PK?
Alyssa Nair.
Well, that, yes. But another option that I would have had would be Sam Staub.
Yeah, Sam's. I don't think Sam's ever missed
I don't
uh,
think so.
in her career when it came to PKs. We got to see that penalty shootout in the Summer Cup last season with Chicago, and they were great in that. But a lot of those players are either not with the team or weren't on the field at the time anymore. So yeah, I really have no
Does
idea.
Alyssa step up and take it? I have witnessed in my, it was a
She
high school
stepped
game.
up to be there for that corner.
Well, but it's just like, oh man, that's because I don't think she would have missed. I don't think. I think she would have buried it.
Oh
But
yeah.
it's just that thing that if you miss and you're the keeper, you gotta go.
Yeah, I think at that point, because it was too tie, I don't think it would be that big of a
Yeah,
problem. Because if they
yeah.
miss, it's like, if they score, it doesn't matter because we're already losing. But I doubt they would have done it. I
No,
don't
I
think
don't
they
think
would.
so either.
I
I don't
don't
think,
think they
but it
would
would
have
have been
given
quite a
that.
storyline if that would have happened.
Oh yeah. I mean, she became the first keeper to take and make uh in uh what is it? Was it World Cup history or just
Hmm.
like men and women?
Yes.
And now, I mean, that probably would have set her up for some kind of accolade as well.
I would assume that nobody, I would guess that nobody's had in like the run of play, not in like a shootout, their
Yeah,
keeper take a PK. I can't say for sure, but I'm assuming that that's never happened. I would
yeah.
very much assume that that's never happened because
It's not
that's
really
not
the
something that you
smartest call.
do.
Yeah,
But yeah, it would
but
have been
not everyone
interesting.
has a listener, stone
No,
cold PK taker on their
no.
team.
No, I don't know. It just was an interesting conversation, but yeah, we'll see. Hopefully they can keep the scoring going against North Carolina next weekend.
Yeah, North Carolina has a pretty decent defense. I know Kurtz has been very good. Ryan Williams looks great.
Hmm.
Um, Casey Murphy in goal is kind of hit or miss, but she's really good at stopping shots. So yeah, their defense worries me. They've kind of, I wouldn't say struggled on offense, but they don't have like that one player that is really like leading their goal scoring or offense in general. Like a lot of the goals have been spread out. I think they have 9 goals, and I think Ashley Sanchez leads them with 2. So only 7 other players have scored 1 goal. So there's not like that one player that's like the key player to stop right now. They're kind of just spreading the wealth. So it's going to be interesting to watch how Chicago responds from letting 2 goals in the run of play in this last match against Washington, who was missing a lot of their key goal scorers, and uh, North Carolina, who isn't really like lighting up the scoreboard lately.
Yeah, North Carolina is kind of similar to Chicago. I feel like this season where spreading out who's scoring goals kind of here and there, and they don't ever possess the ball as much as the team that they play. Um, Nahas can't figure out what to do with Jaden Shaw. They traded for her
Yeah,
and they cannot figure out what to do. She's coming off the bench. I don't know what's going on with her. Hopefully she doesn't figure it out against Chicago. But like for them, like they had a letdown in game two. They were ahead of Orlando for a vast majority of the game, and then in the 93rd minute gave up a goal. So, and
brutal.
it got a tie, still a solid result against a team like Orlando, but you in your heart know I should have got a win on that.
Right.
I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think that, as you said, they have a really solid defense. Um, you can score on Murphy. We've seen it in different levels. It's really just going to depend on if they can figure out how to break down the defense or the midfield, excuse me, of North Carolina, because obviously Denise O'Sullivan is really
Oh,
talented.
probably their best
Um,
player.
Yes, and so Riley Jackson is a youngster that has been very solid for them as well. And obviously Ashley Sanchez is somebody you have to keep an eye on because she can have those games where she is absolutely fantastic, and then other games you don't even know she's on the field.
She
So
went off on Chicago the last time they played. Um, that was unfortunate to sort of watch her uh, have the probably the best game of her season last year against Chicago. That yeah, that sucked.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. It's going to be interesting. I am excited. I think it's a winnable game. I think if they don't get points out of this game, it will be a disappointment.
Yeah, I think North Carolina plays in a three back, and I think this will be the first. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure this is the first three back that Chicago has gone up against this season formationally. I need to go back and look at that, but I'm interested in seeing what Chicago does against a three back because Chicago already utilizes like Julia and Mies to sort of be those guards on the wing. But now instead of marking and sort of going up against the like higher playing outside backs, now it's them that are going to be going up against really talented wing backs
Mhm.
that North Carolina has, and then what like B and Maitani can do to maintain Ashley Sanchez and her ability to work the ball in the middle. So um, yeah, I think formationally, I think it'll be an interesting matchup because North Carolina likes to put a lot of players up high, even though they don't possess a lot. They like to drive the ball really quickly down the field. And Chicago's good at defending that. It's just I'm worried that they're going to fall back into their,
Mhm.
you know, eight in the box kind of feel against a team that puts so many numbers up high.
My whole thing is to counteract that you press and you press high and make them turn the ball over on their side of the field so that they can't get further up. So if you don't let them get up, then they can't. And so I think that that will be important. I feel like Chicago did a really good job again of that in the last game. They were doing a lot of high pressing. They were trying to get turnovers. Obviously, you can't do that all game long. That's impossible. Like that's insane. But I think it will be important if they choose the right moments to press. I think that players like Sanchez, sometimes O'Sullivan, I think Riley Jackson in particular, you can get turnovers there. And I think that if you can do that, you can frustrate players like Sanchez. And O'Sullivan has a tendency, if you frustrate her, that she can get a little aggressive. So I think that it's important to maybe frustrate them, and then you could get some fouls, you could get some free kicks, some turnovers, and I feel like speed is going to be um, very important to Chicago to utilize on their front line.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. The like you said, winnable, I think. Um, Hoping for a draw or more. I think that draw against Gotham gave this team a lot of confidence. I think the team will look at the Washington match and obviously look back and say, we should have won that. Um, but we know that we're capable of winning. And so I think they'll come into North Carolina also with a strong belief that they'll be able to win that match instead of having, um, like, they didn't have a discouraging performance, which is, I think, important. And like we said, North Carolina isn't the North Carolina from a few years ago. Like they're not, um, they're not top in the table right
No,
now. And I mean, obviously saying that as a Chicago fan is ironic, but I like,
winnable.
yeah, I think it is winnable in certain areas. I hope that where I believe they can maintain, they maintain.
Yep.
And we'll kind of see where what goes from there.
I do want to say this before we jump off of here. Everybody here at Red Stars Report is hoping for the best for Savvy King. At this time that we're recording this, we don't know what's going on with that situation other than she's stable in the hospital. That was a really scary situation in the Angel City, Utah game. And for the players, that's a tough situation to have to go continue playing. That was a difficult scene. Also, the commentators did, I thought, a very good job of trying to talk, but like there, it's tough. It was a very tough situation. But we just really want to wish her the best, sending her positive vibes. And that was really hard to see.
Yeah, it was absolutely, and thank you for bringing that up. It, you never want to see something like that. I think the paramedics and the medical officials did um, such a wonderful job responding to that, and it's nice to hear from the league that she's in stable condition, and especially for the NWSLPA to come out and ask for privacy for her and her family. So I love Savvy King. I was a big fan of hers coming out of college, and it was hard to watch. But you're right about how everyone responded to it. It was difficult to watch players continue to play that match. I think it absolutely should have been stopped and postponed or delayed or something. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And we should absolutely just end the episode there. Thank you for watching. Go to redstarsreport.com to keep up with the news between the episodes and Liz's match recaps. We'll be back next week to recap that North Carolina match. We'll see you next week for another Red Stars Report.